Oh my God, Celine, can I sing for you? River deep, mountain high, yeah.
Hi everyone, it's Brooke Kaki here, and I'm going to talk you through how I create my signature messy chic updo moment. It's a great style, pretty versatile, and you don't really need to maintain it very much. It'll last you forever, and it's very chic and fits with any look that you really want to pull. So let's get into it. You are going to need a wig that is at least, I want to say 22 to 24 inches long. This one's 28, but you'll see later I'm going to start cutting some of it off because I don't need that much length. You can do a slightly looser curl than this, like more of a wave. Kind of just depends on your preference really, but I don't think this works well with straight hair, so don't do straight hair. The first thing that I do whenever I am starting a style is sections. Don't get scared by the word sectioning, it just means, in this sense, moving the hair out of the way. Now, I'm going to do some bangs. I want one of those like classic swoopy bang drag moments, right? So my bang's going to be pretty centered, and I want a nice wide strip so that I can tease it all up. And we're going to use the little lines on the wig block. We're going to use the little lines on the wig block to guide us. And what you want to do is have more hair at the hairline than you will end up with on the wig itself. So your lines are going to go inwards. So cutting in. Make sure they're pretty even in terms of the angle that they're cutting in at. And we're just simply going to continue those lines for maybe 3-4 tracks of hair. Once you've done that, you should have this like trapezoid, trapezium, something shape of hair, right? Do I look like a dickhead? Alright, and then what we do is we take this and simply clip it away. I love that song. I love these clips. They are so good because they just grab around the hair, which I think delicious. Okay, and I'm gonna take a pin and just pin it down so it's nice and not moving anywhere. I've never done a tutorial before, but I've been saying I'm gonna do one for a little while now, so I thought, what better way to spend my hungover Monday morning than talking to myself at home? So, what we're now going to do is take all of the hair from the hand-tied frontal bit. If you don't have the same wig, maybe you've got a full lace wig or different amounts of knotted hair, you're just going to take maybe, what is that, 1.5 inches, 2 inches from the hairline, and we're going to put that out of the way as well. Section it away. Now, I used to have more of these black clips, but I lost a bunch of them, and I'm going to need it later. I'm going to put this one aside, and we're going to go with the alligator clips, crocodile clips, whatever they are, duckbill clips, who knows? It's a whole zoo. Okay, alright, she's pinned away. Now, the next thing we're going to do is every bit of hair that is horizontally stitched into the wig, so all of the wefts that go straight across as opposed to around the side, we're going to pick those up and put those in a ponytail. And the way I'll do it is I'll run the tail end of my brush through and use the wefts as my guide. Any hair that is going down as opposed to back stays out, and we're just going to grab all of that hair from the top of the wig and follow it around, and you should have at the end of it this nice U shape that sits right on top of the wig. We are simply going to pull it into a ponytail. Now, this part of the hair, you're not going to see this part of the hair, right? The curl that is in the root of this hair is actually going to cause this weird texture. And for later, when we smooth the other hair over the top of it and stuff, you don't want that because you want it to be sleek, pulled back, and everything like that. So it's not worth steaming it out. I literally just blast it with a hairdryer on high heat while I'm pulling it nice and tight and straight. And then that way it will help the curl relax a little bit and sit a little more smoothly. Otherwise, it does this thing, which is it does this curly wave bit. Now the next thing that I do is I will secure that with a zip tie, and the way that I do that is you find the center of the wig, which is right here, and you can see there's those strips of elastic that go through the wig with its internal structure, and so I'm going to go through the wig with my trusty zip ties. Zip ties honestly have changed my life. Zip ties, they are just so useful. You're going to go through the structure of the wig there and just leave it like that for now. And then pulling the hair into a nice... Now this part doesn't have to be perfect because again, it's going to be an updo. This part is going to be covered and you're not necessarily going to see this. However, this is the same base for a lot of my different styles. And so you might use this start for a different wig, and you might want it looking a little more sleek then. Awesome. Then I literally will just brush it into place. And then we're going to spray it. This is what she looks like currently. Done. You're gonna take your hairspray and saturate it, and then smooth it. No, that's a bit shit actually. We're gonna do take two on that pony. I use my big wide brush to pull the hair all in to my hand, and then you want to work the hair into that ponytail, and then after that go in with the zip tie to secure it in place. Otherwise it'll give you this like bubbling situation. It's just not going to be as smooth. And I literally go in with my teeth. One day I'll be able to afford veneers, so I don't really care about the state of my teeth. We're going to cut that off, and we're going to douse it in hairspray. Now it doesn't have to be too clean because it's an updo, it's going to be covered anyway. Then I go in with my hairdryer and I just blast it dry. And you want to do 3 coats, but on the 3rd coat I'm going to show you to do something different. And you can be pretty heavy-handed with this because it's quite a smooth surface, so you don't have to worry about the bubbles of hairspray sitting and forming and then looking messy or anything, because you're just going to go in with your finger and smooth it over anyway. And on the 3rd go around, you're going to do the same thing, douse it in hairspray. But if you really want to set it, take a little bit of water and use that to just reactivate some of the hairspray and just let it really coat all of the hairs. And we're going to dry, and it's very important that this hair is actually bone dry. So when you think you've got it dried, just keep hair drying it for a little bit longer. So that's all dry now. So we're going to take this hair and then just don't pull it forward because that's going to mess with the job we just did, but just tuck it out of the way. And then we're going to pay attention to the back half of the hair now. What we want out of this is a nice, clean kitchen to work with. And the way we're going to do that is through a what is it? What do they call it? What's it called? A French roll, French twist, something or other. Oui, oui, bonjour. Now, depending on your skill level or how much time you have, or honestly how much you care really, you can skip this next part. But what we're going to do is attempt to disguise some of the tracks in the wig with a bit of strategic teasing. And the way we're going to go about that is we're going to take maybe an inch or two from the hairline all around in this kind of U shape. So I'm going to get in here. There we go. Take a little bit more from here. And we're going to simply put the rest up and away. And we're going to do the same on this side here. So this here, just going to section it out of the way. Alright, now the way that we're going to go about this is we're going to start here with this section and split it. I'm going to spray a little bit of hairspray because it's a new wig, and so the fibers are very smooth and we want to be able to grip them with our teasing brush. I've probably got a little too much here on the side here because we don't need to tease any of this here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that up and out of the way. Grab our first section that we've split in half and just tease it. Tease it into this nice tight little ball and then flick it out. Okay, I'm gonna grab that, clean up the ends because otherwise they get ratty very quick. And what I do is I then go in with my hairspray and then push in that teasing. Really lock it into place so it doesn't creep out a little later. And then we're going to move that out of the way. And then we can do the same on the hair underneath it. Except the difference is you're not going to pull through on the underside just yet. We're going to focus on teasing it up before teasing it down. There we go, nice little bowl has started forming, and then you pull it through. I'm gonna grab them together, just push all that teasing in, make sure it's nice and tight. Sometimes you pull out some of the teasing because it's not close enough to the root and it just looks messy. And that's how life is. Cool, and then we can pin that hair out of the way, or clip that hair out of the way. Alright, so we're just going to do the same with the bottom section of the hair. Little kitchen. Split it in two, put a little hairspray in it, and start teasing. Now, there's not as much disguising that you need to do with the nape of the neck because of the way this style works. So I'm not too bothered with teasing it all to absolute completion. It's just for the evenness in shape, as opposed to disguising the wig. I love this little Afro pick comb thing. It has changed my life dramatically. It's just so good because it's got the metal, metal little prongs. And yes, one is bent, but for the most part, it does a pretty good job of not breaking. I'm gonna take this hair out, brush them together, and then push the teasing to the base. Then we're going to move on to this last side here. And you guessed it, we're doing the exact same thing. The camera stopped working, RIP. Now that you've got all of this teased, what we're going to do is take this hair back down, and you should have this ring of teased hair. We're going to take a paddle brush, just pull it up in the vague direction of where we're going, and we're going to pull some of the hair out and down, and that way people see less of the wig and you can disguise some of those longer hairs if you've got them on your neck. Now this hair is going to look quite frizzled, and that's okay because we're going to fix it later. But that's the impact of teasing for you. I'm just going around and pulling some hair through. Now if you chose not to do this step, it will save you a bit of time, but it's nice to hide some of the wig cap for things like photo shoots or performances or anything like that. Obviously everyone knows it's a wig, so it's not the end of the world if you can see wefts, but it's a little more effort can go a long way. Wonderful. So we're just gonna pull this hair down, really lock it in as going in the opposite direction as the hair that it came from. Okay, and then next we're going to take down the rest of that hair that we've put up before. Not all of it, just the stuff from the back half of the wig. And I like to angle my wig head down like that and let gravity do some of the work for you. But basically, we're just pulling it nice and taut and making sure that we don't have any sort of looser bits hiding where you can't see them in the middle of the wig. Okay, and then you're going to take your same brush that you were doing the teasing with before and just smooth over some of that teasing so that it's less ugly. I'm going to angle it so you can see it a bit better. But again, I do tilt the wig back, so gravity is doing some of the work for me. Particularly this area, here and here, is where you're going to probably see the most visible teasing. Then the next thing I do is bring it back to its tilted position and make sure it's all nice and tight. And then I take a little bit of hairspray and I just spray the nape of the neck and pull it nice and tight. I will even then go in with a hairdryer and just dry that hairspray that I've just sprayed there. I'll tilt it again so you can see. That's what it should look like. Nice, clean, smooth, straight up. Alright? Then the next thing you want to do is, with it pulled not directly up, so if it was on your head, not directly up, but it's like up and back, we're going to start twisting. Again, you want to make sure that all of your hair is at tension before you start twisting. And the way that you start twisting is you're going to take from one side and just comb it or brush it into a twist. Take from the top, brush it into a twist. Take from this side, brush it down and into a twist. And then suddenly you've got this effect going on. Then you're going to take the hair, flip it over and keep holding it nice and tight in this twist and literally just keep twisting and twisting. And then you should be left with a nice, clean underside to a wig. Now, you can go through and you can adjust the hair. Don't worry too much about this section here. Pulling that rooted hairline out of the way. And once you're happy, you are going to take yet another trusty zip tie. And below where you put that last zip tie in, we're going to do the same thing, using the wig itself as an anchoring point for this hair. You can see where the other zip tie is sitting just here. We're going to move that out of the way. And you want to keep tension on this twist here. And I'm going underneath the wig cap and including in my zip tie that middle elastic strap that runs through the center of the wig. Keeping that tension, moving this hair out of the way, we are going to secure this twist. Oh, I've got the zip tie backwards. All right. Keeping the tension, I'm going to take a second zip tie and pierce it through the wig yet again. But this time, we're going to secure the twist down here, a little bit further down. That way, we've got two little spots of securement. Good English. Nice and tight. Okay, all right. She is not going anywhere. Careful when you're cutting zip ties, you do not want to cut the hair. The next thing I'm going to do is hairspray it. So, you want it to be all nicely placed and in its final spot before we lock it in with all this hairspray. And we're literally just plastering it down. Now, if yours doesn't look perfect, that's okay, because when we get to the updo part of it, you can pin the hair strategically so that the little mistakes and things can't be seen. My hands get so sticky after a day of styling simply because I cannot stop running my fingers through hairsprayed hair to get it nice and smooth. My phone case is like feral. It's covered in hairspray and dust and gunk. But I've always been a grotty girl, so now the whole world knows it. Go on with the hairdryer, and the same thing as the little ponytail bit we did before, we're going to blast it with a hairdryer, spray it again, 3 times total, and then on the 3rd time we're going to use some water and really slick it back. Interestingly enough, the color of the wig that I'm styling will change how I spray the hair, because on lighter wigs like a blonde or even some of those like dusty pink ones, you can't really see the buildup of hairspray because it's white on blonde kind of thing. However, for darker hair, you definitely need to keep the can a lot further away and let it slowly build up instead of being right at it here. But I find it's quicker and I'm using blonde hair, so I'm literally just going in like this and then smoothing it with my finger. Then I'm taking my water. You don't need to saturate it but enough to mix. And then again, super important that this is completely dry. So you're going to spend what feels like ages making sure that this hairspray is all set. Awesome. And then another thing I like to do is if there's any of those little folded over hair bits that stick out from the wefts that are in the way, I literally will just go ahead and cut them off. They don't benefit anything by being annoying and sticking out like that, so you might as well just cut them off. I'm also going to defrizz a bit of this rooted hairline, and the way I'm going to do that is by just on a high setting, blowing this hair out so that it becomes a little more straight. We're going to cut it to length. And the way that you want to go about cutting the hair is, you can see you've got the sides and then the actual nape of the neck. Take it into 3 sections. And we probably want about this length here. It doesn't actually matter so much, just not too long. Otherwise it gets caught in things like zippers and stuff. And when we're cutting, so that's the overall angle we want down here, but we don't want a blunt cut because that's going to look super ugly. We're just going to move the scissors up and down, and don't open or close the scissors yourself. If they're sharp enough, they should do the cutting for you. And if they're not, just gently close very slowly. And then we're going to take the nape of the neck section and go straight across. And do the same with the other side. Pulling that all down. Hit it with a little bit of hairspray. Not too much because otherwise it feels like it's scratching the back of your neck. And just pulling that hair down. Now, the next thing that we do is we're going to bring this hair from our pony and we're going to split it down the middle and have it go around this hair that we have going straight up. So all this hair that's come from the roll is going to sit, or it's going to cut through that ponytail hair in half. And then with this hair around the back, give it a little crossover, and then we're going to secure that with a zip tie as well. And then, so there's one, and there is the other. Secure it with your zip tie. God, these things are amazing. Nice and tight, not going anywhere. Cut off the excess, and then you can flip the twisted hair back over it. But you can see we've got these sections forming. So you've got this longer bit here at the back, and then we're going to have a middle section, and then finally we're going to bring the rest of the hair into the party. So we want to keep our bangs separate, those will come last, but the other hair that we parted before, sectioned off, we're going to take that from the sides. And this is something that you're going to be able to see, so it's important we take our time and make it nice and smooth and pretty. I'm going to hit it with a hairdryer while holding it or pulling it in the direction that I'm going to be laying it. And that's just going to heat up the hair in the knot so that it's lying a little bit more in the direction we want it, and it'll be nice and smooth. So then I'm going to brush it in the direction that I want it to go. Sometimes I pull this little pin out here so that the hair doesn't fall any lower than that. And we're going to just be pulling it towards where we made that ponytail before. I also like to spray it with just a little bit of hairspray around the roots to make it stick to my brush when I'm pulling it nice and tight. And then we can take one of these little clips and just clip it there for now. Then we're going to repeat the exact same thing on the other side, pulling it towards where we made that ponytail. This is going a little bit wonky up here, but again, doesn't matter because you're not going to see it. So long as it's secure, doesn't have to be pretty. However, these side bits, yes, they have to be pretty. Taking that same teasing brush. Now the good thing about this twist section being so dry is that you can brush and make contact with it in the brush and it's not really going to do any damage there because we sprayed the fuck out of it. Same as before. Give it a little spray, pull it nice and tight. And then the next thing we're going to do, yep, you guessed it, another zip tie. Slay! This time I'm going to put the zip tie through the wig cap before I do anything with the hair, because I don't want to be fiddling with stuff while I'm holding the hair once I've got it where I want it to go. We want it nice and smooth, so we need the zip tie ready to go. We've got the bangs in the middle. We can forget about them for a second. And here we go. We're going to take those two side bits of hair. One of them we clipped away, and we're basically just zip tying them like that. But we're attaching them here so that all of the hair is going to be pulled into one place from all over the wig. So the back is being twisted and then pulled up here, and then the top section has already been pulled back as well, and then finally the sides. So this can take a little bit of finessing, but because we've already blow dried the hair and sprayed it a little bit with hairspray before, it should already be wanting to go in this direction, and it should already be nice and smooth. It's just a matter of brushing it all so it's tight as well. Cool. And then we're going to take the zip tie, wrap it around, come on, and then pull it tight. Now don't let go until your zip tie is on tight. Alright, that's all done. Ignoring the middle part because the bangs are going to cover that and the updo and stuff. You will see the sides, which have been pulled up ever so beautifully on the sides. And now we're going to spray them again and make sure that they are not going anywhere. So, you know the rule, 3 coats of hairspray, water on the 3rd. Let's go. I'm also going to cut this zip tie off because that's going to annoy me. Okay, this side too. And when you're smoothing it, you want to be running with the grain of the hair, so the same direction following it. Otherwise you're going to move it and it's going to be ugly. Cool, so what you should be left with is something that kind of resembles a ponytail, but in sections. You've got the first section on top, which consists of all of the hair from the sides, and if you're not doing bangs, then it would include the hair from the middle as well. And then you've got the main bulk of the hair, that comes from the twisted back half of the wig. And then you've got your longer bits here, which come from the center of the top. And these are going to be the 3 sections of our updo. So these will be the longest ones at the back, and then we're going to stagger the height until we get to the shortest bits on the top, where they stick out more and they give it that volume. I'm going to take our comb, our teasing brush, and we're going to take maybe the bottom 1/3 of this hair. It can be pretty tricky to gauge how much hair you're actually splitting it into when it's all tied up in a little ponytail thing. But that's okay. If you've grabbed too much, just put it back. And these are going to be the longest bits of our updo. We're still going to cut them. Otherwise, if it's too long at the back and too short on the top, then it looks a bit like mullety. But we're going to take this bit of hair, brush it out, and then we're going to decide on a length. Now, any mistakes that you made putting the hair into the twist at the back, they might influence how long you want to make this longest bit of hair. However, a good rule of thumb is just covering where the hair starts to twist and then add another 5 to 6 centimeters after that. You can have it touching the base of the wig if you want. It's really up to you. And we're going to cut it in 2 different ways. So you are going to cut it to length, and then we're going to thin some of it out, make it a bit more fluffy. And the way we cut it to length is not by going straight across like this, because when that happens, you can see all of the hair is sitting quite bluntly at the bottom, and it's not very pretty. So we're going to hold our hair loosely in our hand and determine where we want to cut it to. Remember that we're going to tease it as well, so there's going to be a little bit of height added into it, and so we want to take that into account. And I'm thinking we're cutting it about here. And same as before with the hairline, we're literally just going to up and down. It's flicking, it's a flicking motion. And we're just going to cut the hair, and you can see the difference that has made as opposed to a blunt cut. Now you can see you've got longer bits, you've got shorter bits. It's less blunt, but it is still pretty blunt. So what we're gonna do is split this into smaller, more manageable sections. And then I have these thinning scissors, texturizing scissors, something or other. I literally just got them at Priceline, and we're going to twist the hair around so that we're not getting a uniform texturized layer. And we're going to start from about here, a third of the hair in our hand, and we're going to hold it on an angle and just cut, and then move down the hair, cut, cut. Now these scissors are getting a bit old, so I have to cut more than you will if you've got a fresher pair of scissors. So don't cut as much as me, but do go in, and we're removing some of that. It's called weight. And so now we should have a nice sort of fluffy end to our hair, as opposed to this half, which is, it's all relatively the same length. So we're gonna take this end, or this section, and we're gonna do the same. Just cutting about, leaving a third of the hair. Cool. You will get hair everywhere. I suggest you find a hardwood floor to style your wigs on, because it just makes the cleanup so much easier when it's not carpet. Cool, and that's nice and fluffy. I'm happy with that. The next thing we're going to do is start teasing. We're not going for any sort of height at this point. We're simply teasing to disguise. We're simply teasing to disguise the underneath parts of our wig, so the twist there. Although if you've done a good job, you don't necessarily need to hide it. However, it's not really a feature of this style. So I'm going to take my got-to-be and my teasing brush, and we're going to split this into two sections and tease it on the underside. And I'll show you why in a second. So spraying the underneath, get it a little bit tacky, and tease, pull through, tease, make a big cloud, pull through. Then I'm going to just clean up the ends a little bit, spray that bit of hair with some hairspray, and you do this before you pack down the teasing, because if you pack down the teasing, it's too dense, and then the hairspray can't really get in there. It's only doing the outside surface. So we spray it before we pack it, and we just jam it down, and that's one bit done. Then what we're doing is pinning it in place. And this hair here has been sprayed to death, so feel free to pin through it in order to hide things like the zip ties, or the twist, or any mistakes that you made in the styling of the hair. And you can just pull it out after you've pinned it so that it's not so dense. Then we're going to do the same thing to the other half and pin it on the other side. We're covering right now, we're working on covering these zip ties that we used in the twist, just by obscuring it with hair. Alright. And then you're pinning with these parts, you're pinning through that teased section, because that's going to give you the best hold on the bit of hair. And you can pin into the twisted hair as well. That's a great spot to be pinning into, anywhere really, so long as you've got it where you want it. And then once it's pinned, you can fluff it out and do whatever you want really with it. And then I like to spray as I go, because once all the hair is over, you're not going to be able to spray this section, so you might as well do it now. And then I will even blast it with a hairdryer between layers. We're going to take another part of the hair, oops, and just divide it in half again really. And we're literally doing the same. We're going to cut it to length. I want the hair to sit probably about here. So I'll mark that with my fingers and mentally. And we're literally just going to start shearing the hair away. Cool. Then dividing it into more manageable size, twist, take my thinning scissors. If you've got fresh thinning scissors, just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't do it as many times as me. And I better use this brush to get rid of all that extra hair. And then look, it's nice and fluffy. Same thing on this half. Twist, brush it out. We're gonna take those two sections. It's just one section, we split in two, but anyway, we're gonna take all that here, get rid of all of the little bits that we've cut off, and tease up another big cloud. Don't be afraid, this is the most underneath, the most concealed part of the wig, so you can really go in with the teasing. And then I'm gonna stop there because we've got quite a decent amount of hair. We're gonna take our hairspray, lock in that teasing just by pushing it down, give it another spray for good measure, and then we're going to pin it down right on top of the twist there. You can't really see it because it's blonde on blonde, but there's the twist right there, and we're going to pin directly into that hair. Remembering that the teased cloudy part of your hair is where you're going to find the best purchase on your bobby pins. And one more for good measure. Don't worry if you can see those bobby pins because we're just about to cover them. And we're going to go back in and finish teasing off this hair. But this time we're going to start teasing it in all random directions. Out in this way, out in this way, out in this way. Excellent. I'm happy with that. And we can lock it in. And you can see that this hair from the first section that we teased is longer, and this hair from the second section, we cut it a little bit shorter so that it's sitting on top and it creates a bit more of a cascading effect as opposed to a blunt swoop that you would see in an ordinary ponytail. Now the next section is pretty much the same, but we're going to split it in two. Instead of teasing it back, we're going to tease them either side. First, we'll cut it to length. We can do them both the same length because that just makes sense. Let's figure out how long we want it. I'm going to say about here. A little shorter than the back section, probably about the same length as what we just cut. And this section is a bit smaller, so I can get away with doing just one bit for the thinning. Again, do not thin it as much as I do. It's only because my scissors are blunt. Alright, so splitting that in two, teasing one off to the side, and like before, spray it, pack it in, and we're going to pin it into wig cap. Alright, now's where the fun begins. We have this massive chunk of hair here that we are going to firstly just give it a little brush, and we're going to progressively just take sections out of this hair and tease them where we want them to go. Pinning them in place as well is super important. So the first section I'm going to do is go straight back and cover this little bit of dead space where the twist, and we're going to figure out what length we want it to be at, which will be about here, a bit longer than the other one, but it's going to sit differently because it's coming from further away. Brush, spray, tease. And you want a real big cloud because we're going to pin this so that there's not as much dead space. And we're teasing it all kinds of directions in backwards. Even going to tease some of it forwards as well. Alright, now we're going to gather up all of that hair, brush the ends, make them more manageable, spray the root, and push it in. Spread it out, and we're going to pin it. Cool. Then the next two sections I want to cover the sides with. Here's the hair from the rat. We're taking this side and then some from this side as well. And just pinning it to the head. what I'm going to do is, the important bit is securing the hair so that you're covering up the zip ties and everything like that. And the first thing I'm going to do is the bits of hair that are going to sit here, and then we'll stack whatever on top. So the bits that we're going to pin into this sleek bit here. Now, to get the shape that we want, these bits should be longer, and then the bits on top should be shorter so that they are cascading down like we have here. The longer bits down here, the shorter bits up here. Now, we're following the same principles as before, just going to pick our length, which I want to sit around here. Twist. You can see that teasing there that we're creating. We're basically just gonna bring it around the face, whereas the back was super long, we want it shorter, so it's not covering your eyes. Again, we're going to spray so that there's a nice tackiness. We're just going to build up that cloud before pulling it through. Then grab all that hair that we teased and just fix the ends, spray it, pack it, then pin it. And this time, we're pinning into this hair that we slicked back before. So we're literally going to pull it down so that we can't see any of this teasing, pinning through that cloud of teasing that we made and into the wig cap or just the hair that we have done before. And you can see that's sitting quite nicely. Once we've done it on the other side, then we're going to then fill this space here with some more hair, but shorter, so that it sits out more and it's more fluffy appearing. But for now, the main purpose of that is just to hide the base. You want to mirror the other side, but don't die trying to get it symmetrical. Honestly, symmetrical wigs are pretty overrated anyway. Or at least I tell myself that. Alright. Excellent. We've got... We can see the shape emerging, right? So the next thing I'm going to point out is that we do in fact have two sections of hair here. So there was the stuff from the sides and then the remaining part that we haven't yet teased of the twist, right? So this part from the sides, we're going to keep that away because that's going to be the last bits that we tease. Now what we want to do is start building that volume. So we've disguised all we need to with the updo, and now we're focusing on height and shape. So we want to fill out the top. And you'll notice I'm again taking two side bits, two side parts. So here and here, and then we'll come back to the middle once we're happy with the sides. And when we're cutting this one to length, we don't want it the same length, we want it maybe a little bit shorter so that it sits on top of instead of sits with the other hair. I'm going to cut it about here, twist, cut. And with these last bits, the ones that sit on top of the rest of the hair, you can thin it out a little bit more because the fluffiness that it creates, it's just really pretty. And yeah, what I'm going to do is this one, I'm going to tease the top side so that we're really getting all of that height. Make this nice cloud, then pull it through. And then now I'm going to tease, leaving a little bit unteased. I'm going to tease it from the underside. So it has been teased twice. It should be nice and fluffy. And then you can even separate the hair as you wish. Brush it all out, and I'm not going to pack that one down because we want to keep that volume. And don't worry if you can still see little bits of teasing and things. It is A, messy updo, and B, we're going to cover it up in just a minute anyway. But from now on, it's pretty much a game of hide the teasing. Yeah, strategically placing hair, hiding the teasing, till eventually you've got all the teasing in the middle and it's just nice sitting hair on the outside. So again, we want to cut it to maybe this length here, and teasing it one way, up and back, and then teasing it the other way. Look at that. And then we can even incorporate some of the hair from the middle and on top, brush them together, pull them through. Oh, she's looking pretty good. This side could use a little bit of love. Also, don't worry if it's asymmetrical. If one side's heavier than the other, then just put the bang to the side with less hair, and that way they visually balance each other out. Otherwise, if it's symmetrical, it doesn't matter. You've got a bang hanging to one side either way. So this last bit, I'm going to split into two, and we're going to tease the top section of the two, nice and fluffy, and this one's going to go all around. And then we're going to leave this section to do very last. So the order of it, we're going to do this last section for more height at the top, and then we're going to do the front bits, and then we're going to sit this final section on top of the front bits. So this will probably be the shortest part of your updo, because you want the hair not going up and over, you just want it sitting on top, and the way to do that is to just not have as much length. So we probably want it to about here, but let's try longer, because you can always cut shorter. Yeah, I'm happy with that and the way that it sits there. So we're going to give it a nice good spray. I'm going to come around this side, and we're just going to tease it and pull it through. Forward if you want that kind of look. But for now, I'm just going to leave it nice and fluffy and brushed out of the way. And I'll decide what I want to do with it once I have teased once I see how it all looks together. Alright, so this is our final bit. We'll come back to that, and we're going to take this hair that has been sitting here, and remember this comes from the side bits here. So what I'm going to do first of all is split that in two. And we're going to disguise this part here, and then with some slightly shorter bits we're going to layer this on top. So we want to decide our length. I'm going to say about yay long. Give it another little twist and start cutting. Excellent. So I'm going to tease from the underneath, just like we've done all around the base of this wig. Nice big cloud, and then pull it through. Pull it through both ways as well, to the left and to the right. Okay, grabbing that hair, fixing the ends, spraying the root, and just packing that in. See what I mean about the screw up we made before not being visible? It's an important skill, is identifying what's important, what needs to look clean, and what doesn't matter so much. Excellent, so we're going to find a way for this to sit that we like. I'm thinking something not unlike this. Just push in some of that teasing a bit more. And remember, it's a messy updo. Let it be messy. I know I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and so I struggle sometimes to leave things as they are, but the idea is that it's a messy updo, which means there has to be some mess, right? Alright, then we're going to do pretty much the same with this hair. You can even pin it into the place that you want it sitting, because you don't really want this part moving around too much either, because there's a lot of importance right here on hiding the underneath. Push it in and pin it into place. And then the last one, we're going to take and tease it in every single direction, completely upwards. But before that, we've got to cut it to length, which I like about here. And you know the drill. So tease, push it that way, tease, push it that way, tease, push it that way, every which way. So you've teased it in every which way. Now it probably looks a little too messy, so we'll just clean it up a little bit by brushing lightly some of that really visible teasing out. Then I go through and I just give it a little zhuzh up incorporate some of the layers with each other. Same for the front. And then we just have the bangs to do. So, before we get into the bangs, I'm going to just give it a very healthy coating of hairspray. And we'll even go back a little later once this hairspray is dry. But there's no point sitting around and waiting for it. Let's just get onto the bangs. There are so many different options. Everyone has their preference. We're gonna go for a big drag swoopy bang, which is going to be teased, but we don't need it this length, right? So I'm going to cut it at an angle, and I need to decide how long I want it. We're going to mimic the hair, and it's going to be shortest here. So this side, where the bangs are going to, the direction of the bangs, it's longer on that side than it is the bangs that are going over. Anyway, I hope this makes sense. I'm literally feathering. Oh, it's a bit long actually. Oh my gosh, so much. So, what that looks like is we have more length here than here. Not by much, just a little. And then, you guessed it, we're going to texturize the hair yet again. Now this is quite a lot of hair, so we're going to break it into some smaller sections before twisting and thinning. And then we brush out all of that hair from the bangs. Oh my god, that's so much hair. Nice, light, feathery. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is go in with my hairdryer and get rid of any loose hairs that might have stuck themselves to other hairs in the wig. And I'm also going to get this hairline nice and clean by holding it up in the way that we want it, with a hairdryer going at it on a high setting. That way we can have nice, clean bangs. And then you want to let it cool while it's also being held up, because that's what sets it in place. Then it's real simple. We're going to go row by row and just tease the heck out of it. So starting with the back row, we're going to tease it forward, all in one piece, then middle, and then I'll show you what to do with the hairline. Okay, so when it comes to the hairline, we're not teasing it as much, and we're focusing our teasing on the roots. And you want to have a considerable amount of hair still in your hand before you finish. And that's our bangs. We're going to brush them all together and smooth out the front. And we're going to clip the hairline and spray it in place, because that's the first thing you want to do. And then you can move your way towards the ends of the hair. Adding one there. And then another clip here. Let's just pull out some of that teasing that we can see there. Okay, brushing it into place. Don't worry about the middle and ends of the hair at this point. We're just focusing on the hairline. Well, it's a bit too high. So there's one, and there's two. We're gonna hairspray it. We're gonna smooth out any globs of hairspray, and then blast it with a hairdryer. Can even go in for a second coat, why not? Wonderful. Now we're going to take this hair and find how they want to sit, how your bangs want to sit. I'm just brushing out some of the visible teasing, and you'll find that a shape just naturally comes out, right? So move some of this updo hair out of the way. It looks like these ones want to sit forward, which is always nice. So what I'm going to do is, before I cover it up, I'm going to spray the underside of the bangs and just hit that with the hairdryer too. The bit that we're about to cover up. That way they sit in place better and for longer. Wonderful. It looks like these bits need to be teased a bit more together. Alright, so we've got this part looking quite nice. This part right here. So we might as well spray it and lock it in. And same for on top here. She's looking quite smooth and sleek, how we want it. So once you've finessed the bangs to where you like them, lock it in with a whole bunch of hairspray. And then I like to pin it so that it doesn't flop around as well. So I'm just going to go from the underneath side of the bang, grab some of that hair, and just discreetly pin it into place. And you can even blend the updo here into your bang. Isn't that just lovely? Now it's time to completely blast it with hairspray. I actually really like the movement a little bit from this bang piece, so we're going to keep that as is. And just spray the fuck out of it, right? Move the hair wherever you want. Bring this forward so that it's a little bit more incorporated with the bang piece. They don't necessarily need to look like two different components, right? They can be a little bit more friendly with each other. Awesome! And that's the wig. I'm going to try this on for you, and then we'll have a look at the finished result. Move it back. Excellent, there's the wig. Let me do a full tour. It's a very awkward height that you're sitting at. Let's do, how about we do one of these? Get into it. Oh, I don't think I've got it sitting right on the back. Anyway, get into it. Amazing. Thanks for following this tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed it. Excuse the burp. Anyway, thanks for following this tutorial. I hope it helped, and if you've actually created a wig from this video, I would love to see it. I want to be tagged or whatever. Plus you owe me $5. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe I'll do more of these. I don't know. It depends if you guys like it, and honestly if I can be bothered. But right now I'm styling a lot of wigs, getting ready for this year's Drag Expo. Who knows, I might have another little walkthrough tutorial on something else that will be available there. Yeah, anyway, thanks so much. Bye!